Your mic's still muted.
Welcome to College and Brew. I am Jay Woodwolf, and here is Julie.
Hello.
So we are talking about the female mysteries today.
Yes, the wonderful female mysteries.
What are those about?
Oh, you have really, I guess, a wide range what can evolve with the female. Um, uh, we're gonna just basically stick with more of the the spiritual side of things
All right.
on on this podcast. You have throughout time, there's any, how would you say it, a female presence always in the life, whether it be your mother, sister, aunt, grandmother, or if an elder of to help guide you through different parts of your life. And there's always been a bond. There's even when um some of it gets tricky, but with, there's always besides the connection, there
Yeah.
is the females in general have intuition and have a guidance inside of them to where we usually will know when someone's lying if the situation isn't right. It's this voice is inside that just is like throwing red flags to get out of a situation. And, it's just something that is mostly built into us. So it's we've always had the, like with me with my daughter, I've always made sure that there was the connection ever since she was born till now. She's going on 20 soon. So we've always talked about everything, and I've taught her what to expect in life. And the spiritual side, she is in her own right now. She doesn't want to acknowledge a lot, but I've always, taught her when she wants, there's the bonding with the cooking or with, I, want to, I have taught her bits and pieces with sewing or mending things and just try to form a bond that I never had with my mother because my mother was always working. I I never had growing up a female connection. So I always had the connection with my father, but I never had the female part but I knew what I wanted to give to my daughter. And, emotionally and always be there for her to guide her, teach her. And throughout, that's most cases, that's how it usually, will be. We're more the emotional, nurturing, caring, loving type for the most part.
Yeah. Like on the flip side, with the males, it wasn't like, especially with my connection with my dad, there was no emotional connection. It was that physical connection. We did things, worked on the car, went fishing,
Right.
uh, talked about work. It was all about that physical. What we did is like, so with the men, it's more of an action, whereas the women, it's the emotional.
Yes, it's more, don't get me wrong, we can become very detached, very, you know, a void of emotion when need be. We're
Yeah.
able to cut that off if, you know, it arises to that, depend on how we're treated. But it's, we're, very protective. I know the guy, but it's almost like with me, with my kids, it's like a mama bear. I'm easy going, relaxed, but you know, there's a thing in the female gene, I guess, that can just become unhinged if our children or someone else's children we see is could be hurt or something's going on. We have that emotional response to just protect.
Hmm.
So we've always been, that emotional part, nurturing, and just, as I said, it's just, we just form a bond that way that's deep rooted most times. I have to say that because I know there are some women out there that don't have that ability to be able to bring that feminine side, that's no matter what it is, that nurturing part, the emotional part of it. So,
So when it comes to, let's say, magic, spellcraft,
right.
there are things that you can use only develops once a month.
You can. Um, I prefer not to because of hygiene.
Right.
That's, you know, I, dive to with the dark path, but there's certain things that no,
Right.
that, Mother Nature has, you know, most part cursed us with. If we're going to be real about that aspect, we don't celebrate having that. It's
Right.
okay, we got it. Let's get it over with. But when it comes to, you know, spells or the part of witchcraft with that, I I just I walk away. I won't get into that because it's no.
So is it just like for like curses and hexes, or is it also like used in like love magic, fertility? Because there's a lot of pheromones and hormones that is released too. So I
I've
would
heard,
say it would.
I've heard infertility it can be just like uh okay, it's just I'm just gonna say it. Like with the placenta after a baby's born. Some people will eat it
Yeah.
and it's supposed to have all this stuff to it, or they, for different aspects. I never
It
got
doesn't
into
sound
that.
appetizing. I'm sorry.
No, it's no. I've never had that venture. Some people do, and to each his own, I guess. But um, love, I never heard of that one. But there's a wide range of what people do that you know. I don't deal
Yeah.
with the fertility or the love. I deal more with hexes and curses and that, and it can be used for certain types of spells, rituals, but not my thing. I've never fully looked into the aspects of it because it's something that I would never use.
Right. Due to hygiene.
Yeah, sorry, it's no. As I said, to each his own, but no, no.
Well, we are still a mammalian species. We are still mammals, and
Right.
for the females, there are hormones and pheromones that are released that time of month.
Oh, well, we release pheromones, hormones throughout our whole life because we
Yeah,
have the ovulation cycle, we have the um our menstruation cycle and everything in between. Our bodies are constantly in a state of work. We don't really, our bodies don't get a rest. So we produce so many different chemicals at different times, which create, the hormonal fluxes and everything of that aspect of being a woman. That's, when they always say, that PMS, it's our hormones are like going like this constantly. And during that cycle is when it's supposed to be released, but then our body's creating new ones.
so this is a question I thought it would be fitting for this episode. And
Okay.
this is a question that's been thrown around, different social media platforms. You might get irritated with me with this question.
Okay.
But I
I'm
thought
glad
it
I
was
was
a fitting
forewarned.
question. Right. I thought it was a fitting question for this particular episode, and that way we can get a woman's point of view on the mainstream question that's been thrown around. That's kind of ridiculous to be said, but I'm gonna say
Okay.
it. What is a woman?
I don't know. A woman is a complex being that, now, this is my own opinion of it. You're going to have none to 5 million, what a woman is. But being a woman since birth, it's, a complexity of emotions, feelings. Um, it's it's dealing with cycles and growing up from, you know, all the experiences that we go through with our first period to puberty, because we have so many body changes. And then in adulthood, everything still changes. As we get older, we have menopause. We're just a being of, you know, a being that's just complex. I don't know really. I've never been asked that before. So I don't, there's no true definition, but a female, a woman experiences so many different things in life that we, it's not always sunshine and rainbows and frilly dresses and prancing around. It's, having, moments of just, to where we just don't understand what's going on with us. But, we have emotions and the connections we have. That's the
Right.
best I can do by being, it's, if you really think about it, from being a woman since can, the time I was born, we're just going to say, and growing up, it's everything combined of what you are. you know we have menopause, we have our period, we have ovulation, we have everything that we go through in life from a little girl to the day we die.
Right.
There's premenopause, there's menopause, there's postmenopause, to where we have to get on medication to help balance those hormones because we lose hormones. There's such a influx of constantly being what we are. that question, I didn't mind. I was hope I was there's two things that are going on social media. So I wasn't sure which one you were gonna ask.
What is a woman? I thought I
Yeah.
was fitting for this particular
Oh yeah,
episode.
it is. Now everyone's gonna have, a different viewpoint of it. Not one person that this may get me in hot water and I don't care. Anyone born a female will answer it in her own way of what she thinks it is. So not
Right.
you'll have compromises, you'll have the same,
It's like,
but you'll have different variations.
yeah, it's like with, what is a man? You know, a man is responsible, he's accountable. He he's not only accountable for himself, but if he's married, he's accountable for his wife. He is accountable for his kids if he has them. He is responsible for his wife. He is responsible for his kids. He is accountable and he is responsible. Meaning he
Most
goes out and get
times,
most times.
just like women, most times have that.
Right.
We take care. Even if we work, we take care of the home. We're the nurturers. We're the givers. We're everything rolled into one. We take
Yeah.
care of the kids. It varies depending upon your situation. The man has the male protector part of his family, or even in a group of friends, if there's females in there, they're more apt to look over the females, make sure they're okay. But in a group of females, you will have more, some that are more dominant,
Yeah, you
some
will.
are or more, less, like, more shyer. I guess I don't know. I've always been a dominant female. So, you know, I don't know what
No, no.
that part, but
Even back in ancient times, it was like, when all the men, like even in Celtic society, women went off to battle too. But a
yeah,
lot of times there was, women and children that were staying back, but there would be men who stayed back too. It wasn't all the men that went. There
right.
was certain, it was the strongest of the men that went, and a few of the weaker men actually stayed behind, but their job was to protect the women.
Right. Well, yeah,
But
because
there was some strong women who went out with them, but then there was, weaker. I'm not saying,
right,
women
the
are weaker
ones
than
with
men,
young
but
children in the elderly, or the older ones would stay back, and it would make sense to keep some of the men home, because if they're going out for a war, well, then the warring clan would come and be like, oh, this village is left open,
unprotected. Yeah,
unprotected. So it would just, it'd be a bloodbath or whatever they did back then,
yeah.
rape, pillage, whatever. So it's to where, and there are some very fierce women warriors back in the day,
Oh yeah.
ongoing. It's to where now it's sort of muddled, but, because women can't, you know, um, be stand up and be a warrior for other women.
Right.
So,
There's a story in Irish folklore about a woman. Her name was Mav, and she was a warrior. And something occurred with the men, and the men returned defeated, and the men were talking, and she comes up and she's like, "What? You couldn't defeat your enemy?" And they're like, "Oh, they're so strong, they can't be defeated." And she was like, "All right, I prove to you that me and my women can go out and defeat your enemy." He was like, "You're on." So they went out. The women went out, brought the head back of this man's enemy, laid it on the table, said, "There you go."
oh yeah, women can be ruthless and can do stuff, especially when you say we can't. If
Right.
it's within good enough reason, oh, we're gonna do it, and 10 times better, and we're gonna put it on ya. It's like, kids say we can't do that. Watch
And
us
that's
move a
how
fridge.
Mav became a queen.
Right. Oh, yeah. There's been a lot of women in history that have fought battles, stood up for what was right. So,
So yeah, I thought I would put that in there. Is women can be warriors just as much as men. Even in the Celtic societies, in the like Irish, Welsh, and Scottish folklores, there's different stories of women going into battle. Sword bearers. In the Norse, there are Freya was a shield bearer.
yep. Oh, yeah. I,
She was a
I,
warrioress.
yes. In almost every tradition, I want to say, I don't know what the correct terminology for it be, but there's always been women warriors,
Sure was.
except for I don't think in the Roman time or the Roman Empire, I don't think there was. I may be mistaken. I don't know. But for the other ones, the Norse, the Celtic, and Scottish, all the regions, I think in the Greek, I'm not sure about the Greek if there was. I know mythology there was.
Yes, Athena,
Well,
the
yeah,
sister of Apollo. Yeah,
right, yeah, the goddess of war, but
Artemis.
it's right, but that's what I meant. But it's not mythology, actual, events that took place with, you know,
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
in various cultures around the world, there are female warriors,
Right. Oh yeah, definitely.
and there are some badass women as warriors that did the thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Especially when it comes to with protecting.
Yeah.
That we have it's that emotional part of protecting that's like something switches in us that we become very fierce. I know guys do too, but from the women's aspect, we become very cold-hearted and very ruthless to protect the
Hmm.
ones that we love. So,
Most definitely. So there's that aspect of the female side as well.
yes, just the skirts of it without getting too involved in all the stuff.
Right. So I thought I'd point that out, that that the female mysteries actually include the prowess of female warriors. You know,
Yes.
women who bared swords and shields and who went off into battle, and there's stories across the world of women doing this.
Oh yeah.
I know even in Asia there was a I don't want to say they were ninjas, but they were something. I don't know which culture, whether it was Japanese culture or Chinese culture, but there was something to where they were deadly.
Well, yeah, they're almost like assassins.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard about it. I haven't fully looked into it, but a lot of cultures are really interesting that they don't really expand upon unless you dig for it.
yeah,
It was stuff because they always try to, especially here, it is really hard to, it's more of a male dominant area that is, over in other cultures, you learn about the woman warriors and everything throughout history. So, because I know in school I was not taught, about women going into battle or, the power of women.
right. So here's a few thoughts that Oswin was saying on YouTube. I would think the personal flow would help you connect with the dead in the spiritual realm.
No, well, for me, it doesn't. That time I give myself to uh, heal. Like I go quiet. Because of what goes on with that time. Now everybody's different, but during that time, I like to just take care of myself, mentally, everything, just sort of veg on the couch, because I'm in a lot of pain during that time. So during that pain, everything else is cut off. I shut down every almost everything that I can, just to, self care, because of how much I give myself all the rest of the time. I give myself that for me.
Oh, yeah. So it's a time of rest for you.
Yes, for me, it's a time of rest. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't expand my energy during that time if I don't have to. If I have to, I'm not a nice woman.
Yeah, and then when we were talking about the warrior stuff, about a female warrior, it says, and some of the women went into battlefield to keep the men company.
I'm sure they probably
Uh,
did. I just, I, I'm not, I've never
there
been
is some
big on
cultures
that kind of
where
things. Well, yeah, they have them in the tents. It's usually beforehand, and, you know, to relieve the stress of the oncoming battle.
yeah,
you know, I'm sure there was back in the day. It was, a common thing. You would see, I don't know much about it, but I could see that, you know, the
they might be paired up to where it be a man and a woman, and when you're out in the field and quiet, lonely nights can turn into
a meeting,
fireworks.
a meeting under the stars.
Yes. But, there were some cultures where men were encouraged to bond with other men in their company. We'll just say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're talking about the women's side now.
Yes. um, but yeah, I would have to say that's more like what Oswin was saying. That's more of a bonding.
Right. Oh, yeah. There's, different aspects, before battle, I'm sure that went on throughout history that was the norm.
I'm sure they had concubines in their tents.
Oh, yeah. You know that, what they had that, or, certain group of women that were for just that,
Yeah.
because, you know, I'm sure they had the different sides of release the stress from the man so he could be more focused in battle. Or would I would think for battle with all that pent up frustration, you get angry, you want to get home,
Yeah.
you just start annihilating what you can and hoping you live through it and and go home. So
Right. And then when
both
you get
ways
home,
there.
you're gonna annihilate your wife's personal parts.
Yeah, okay. Excuse me.
I just conquered the battlefield. I'm gonna go conquer my wife. Yeah.
That's why there were so many kids back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, there are way too many kids.
Uh, I'm sure that's probably what their attitude was back then.
I don't know, because you would figure, like, because I've been doing a lot of my research of my ancestry and getting into that. And back in the 14, 15, 16, all the way up to 1800s, my family was producing no less than 8 kids. A lot of them were 13 to 15 kids. And I'm like, yo, okay.
but that was like during a
That
certain
was
time period.
yeah, it
It
was
was
stair
like at the
stepping.
yeah, like
Yeah.
if you actually look in the 1700s, they weren't having that many kids.
Well, a lot of them also perished too at an early age.
Yeah,
Mortality rate was high because of everything going on. But I'm
it
sorry,
was just like in the
I've
late
had
1800s and early 1900s where that was a big thing.
oh yeah, see, I've had 3 kids, and that was a lot. I couldn't imagine having 13 kids under me.
Screw that.
No, you know, it's like,
It's not even financially doable anymore.
oh, no, it's not. But even back then, it really wasn't. But it's to where that poor woman, just a moment of fun turned into,
No. That's like that TV show, 19 and counting.
yeah, no, 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 no. There's a time to where say it's enough and don't be ridiculous about it, especially this day and
Right.
age when there's a way to prevent it, even though the religion didn't. Well, then don't do it,
Right.
But that's just my personal thing. It's no.
I think, regardless of religion, a woman should have the choice of whether or not she's going to have a baby. And if she doesn't want to have kids no more,
Well,
she
no,
has
would
the
be.
very right, regardless of faith, to
Oh
go out
yeah,
and get her
it's
fucking tubes tied.
well that or yeah is to where if she doesn't want to ever have kids, tie up your tubes.
Yep.
Easiest thing that way you don't ever have to worry about anything. Just get checkup, make sure that of course now because I know back then tubes would actually somehow reform, and then you get a oh how where'd that come from,
Right.
but other than that it's to where a woman has a right with her body to a certain you know not neglect it, but to be able to make the right choices for her, you
Yeah.
know. But back then, or even that 19 and counting, they were just having kids to where the kids were raising the kids. That's all it is to where that many they were just raising each other.
Mm hmm. Well, I'm all out of questions. You got any more to add?
Not this time.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I am Jay. This is Julie. And join us next week, uh, same at 7 p.m. Sorry we got a little late. I've been having issues with my sinuses. I kind of overslept. But we'll see you next week. Thank you for